Thoughts about the African continent can sometimes be cliches. There's the romanticized image of endless natural beauty that includes rainforests, waterfalls, and golden savannahs dotted by elephants and lions. And then there's this idea that Africa is a perpetual humanitarian tragedy, a continent that is plagued by violent coups, ever-emerging terrorist and rebel groups, famine, epidemics, and countless bitter tribal conflicts. Yes, Africa is all these things. But the problem with cliches is that they often make you miss the real story. And the real story is that the world itself is fast becoming more African. According to 2050 projections, Africa's current population of over 1.4 billion is poised to double. That means 1 out of every 4 people in the world might be African, with several countries on this vast continent undergoing an enormous youth bulge. All this begs the question: what will Africa look like in 2030? The picture isn't very clear yet, but some see a future where Africa's massive, youthful population propels African countries to take to the global stage in a way that could mirror China's meteoric rise. For starters, Africa is the second largest and most populous continent in the world after Asia and holds about 18% of the world's population. Known for its very rich potential, which includes natural resources, human capital, and fertile soils for agriculture, Africa's development is one of the most critical issues on the global agenda. This point has been attested by the global adoption of the Millennium Development Goals and the immediate adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals to enhance development in Africa. The emergence of modern technologies and communication facilities in the African continent has been an essential factor for development. There are hopes that Africa will take great steps of growth by the year 2030 in development projects, cryptocurrency, agriculture, technological and infrastructural innovations, and the emergence of her economies. What has been done or is currently being carried out to make these aspirations a reality? Let's find out in this video. Before we begin, you can help our channel grow by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and turning on the notification bell so that you don't miss any interesting updates. This is Africa in 2030. 1. Development projects. There are several development projects going on in Africa that will be way gone by the year 2030. These projects cut across all the sectors of Africa's burgeoning economy. Africa is home to 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world. As populations increase and a growing number of Africans join the world's middle class, the face of Africa is changing rapidly. Development projects are at the heart of these changes, providing the continent's much-needed infrastructure and opening up the continent for increased trade and tourism. The biggest African developments currently underway focus on roads, bridges, rail, and airport infrastructure. In the North-South African corridor, there are ongoing power generation projects, port development processes, as well as the construction of a road stretch of about 85,000 kilometers. All these will facilitate activities in the corridor, which runs from South Africa to Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo, and also from Botswana to Mali. The Egyptian government is building a smart city that will serve as its new administrative capital. The project began in 2015 and will accommodate about 6.5 million people when completed. Another mega development project in the African continent is the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project. Although shrouded with controversy, this project, which will cost about $5 billion, is expected to generate over 5.1 gigawatts of electricity upon completion. In Ghana, the ongoing construction of an interconnected rail line to boost logistics is being carried out. The railway will connect Ghana's major cities and strategic mineral sites. There are other mega and minute development projects in Africa that are all aimed at changing its current state in the years ahead. 2. Cryptocurrency. Although Africa accounts for just 2% of the global value of all cryptocurrencies, the rapid growth of these digital currencies is expected to transform financing in the continent. In fact, between 2020 and 2021, Africans received $1,005.6 billion worth of cryptocurrency payments. That equals an increase of 1,200% from 2019. Of the $48 billion remitted to sub-Saharan Africa in 2019, up to $562 million worth of remittance payments were facilitated by cryptocurrencies, such as Ripple, according to Chainalysis. But crypto adoption in Africa is not new. According to the Global Crypto Adoption Index in 2021, 6 African economies, Kenya, Nigeria, Togo, South Africa, Ghana, and Tanzania, were among the top 20 countries in the world with the highest levels of cryptocurrency adoption. Cryptos are designed to work as a means of exchange through a computer network that is not reliant on any central government or bank, with the most used cryptocurrency in Africa being Bitcoin. Countries leading the use of this currency include the likes of South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. Its use has increased dramatically in Africa, with most merchants now accepting cryptocurrency payments as its adoption grows. It is almost certain that by 2030, crypto payments will become the norm. What is then the future of cryptocurrencies in Africa? Cryptocurrencies in Africa represent the future of finance and financial transactions in the African continent despite downturns. There are indications that these currencies are here to stay, as seen from their increasing usage and recognition by countries. At one extreme, the government of the Central African Republic has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. However, the implementation and impact of this on broader economies have been faced with severe criticisms. The Central African Republic was the first country in Africa to allow cryptocurrencies on its territory, before launching its own digital currency known as Sengo coin. In Mozambique, Impawa, a fintech startup, is crowdsourcing funding to finance residential real estate development through cryptocurrency. The startup's use of cryptocurrency is circumventing traditional bottlenecks in financing homes and harnessing the blockchain platform to channel finances towards innovators and developers. Countries like Nigeria have recognized the need for a state representation of digital currencies in the form of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs for short. Many countries are now exploring this option. In Kenya, Possesha, a fintech startup focused on micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises' credit scoring and loan origination, has succeeded to unlock new capital by converting the cryptocurrency community into MSME lenders in East Africa, introducing a global pool of lenders to invest directly in Kenyan enterprises. The startup enables foreign lenders to send the USD stablecoin, a type of digital currency that is pegged on some external asset, such as fiat currency or other assets like gold, converted to Kenyan shillings, and leverage other credit scoring facilities to bridge the capital divide between MSMEs and investors. As cryptocurrency adoption continues to grow across Africa, other countries are still investigating the economic impact of these digital currencies before they go into operation. An estimated 4.2 million South Africans own cryptocurrencies, making the country one of the world leaders in crypto adoption, with 43% of the population expected to use it by 2030. While we cannot predict the future of cryptocurrencies, what we do know is that their adoption and use in Africa are expected to help level the economic playing field and expand finance options to underserved customer markets, including Africa. Do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you find this video interesting. Let's continue. 3. Agricultural projections. The agricultural industry is one of the most important sectors of the global economy, and it's not hard to see why. It not only generates some of the greatest incomes globally, but also meets the world's food needs. The global economy is inextricably linked to agriculture, which is essential to the livelihoods of many people in both developed and developing economies. Agriculture is typically the largest contributor to GDP for most states, particularly in the African context. With the continent's vast agricultural potential, Africa's agribusiness sector is predicted to reach $1 trillion by 2030. In fact, African Investment Forum posits that agribusiness will become the new oil on the continent. With Africa's fast-growing population, there is a need for food security, and this can be achieved greatly through investment in its agricultural sector. Here are some things you should know about this great continent's agricultural sector. Africa's agricultural business will be worth $1 trillion by 2030, according to the African Development Bank president, Akinwumi Adesina. The future of modern agriculture by 2030, therefore, will require judicious and considerable use of natural resources to enhance the promise of a modern African agricultural sector. Agricultural productivity expansion in Africa will need to ensure that while farmers use rainfall for their row crops, the use of efficient irrigation systems will need to be deployed. Latest technologies from companies like NDrip are making it possible to practice irrigation without requiring expensive infrastructures like centrifugal pumps and filters. Although a lot of focus on agricultural development has been on crop production systems, Africans are now also getting into modern livestock farming. By 2030, there will be an increase in sustainable crop livestock mixed systems. Sadly, Africa's agricultural sector has not got an equal income distribution opportunity. Women receive a low share of income despite being very productive in this sector. Therefore, the future of African agriculture must open doors for women to receive a fair share in income distribution, as agriculture cannot afford to leave behind more than half of its population if it is to succeed. 4. Technological projections. Africa is closely watched as the next big growth market, a description that has persisted for a while. Despite growth in Africa stalling, science, technology, and innovation are Africa's blueprint for accelerated development by 2030. On the 1st of March 2022, the Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission of Africa, Vera Songwe, called for the establishment of African Technology Development and Transfer Network to spur innovation and accelerate development on the continent. What can we retain about technological projections in Africa? It is no longer debatable that the African technological industry is a promising one. The rapid growth of digital skills in the continent is poised to accelerate as Africa is now home to 643 innovation hubs. However, challenges hinder the sector's growth. Talking about internet servicing in Africa, a recent report by the Crypto-Invest Group says Africa is still 5 years away from having a real 4G connection. Like many other challenges, this is an infrastructural problem. Countries like Morocco already have a super fast internet download capacity. Others are getting closer to this level. New and affordable ways of electricity supply have been developed and are used in Africa. The demand for generators and solar panels is on the rise due to this technological advancement. Recycled post-harvest waste and fertilizers are helping to boost African agricultural productivity. By 2030, much will have revolved as many companies and industries now fabricate these items. There are a good number of technological projects with a common vision to develop Africa. Some of these include artificial intelligence to support industrial startups and companies, EdTech for education, and clean tech for scientific research, amongst others. What does Africa's infrastructure look like in 2030? Let's continue to find out. But before we continue, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any new updates from us. 5. Infrastructure. Africa is the land of an ancient civilization. The Egyptian Empire and its magnificent structures paved the way for modern infrastructural discoveries in the world. Most countries in the continent are leaving no block unturned as far as infrastructural development is concerned. A new Africa will be seen in 2030 with improved transport networks, buildings, and more advanced digital infrastructures. With over $3 billion already invested in Africa's digital market since 2021, several commercial networks have been established. In East Africa, a tripartite transport and transit facilitation program have been put in place to contribute to achieving Target 9 of the Strategic Development Goals, which aims to build resilient infrastructure and promote sustainable industrialization. This project is working on developing and implementing harmonized road transport policies, laws, regulations, and standards for efficient cross-border and transit networks in the East and Southern African regions. We will not take a leave of you without mentioning some great touristic infrastructures in the continent, which are now of global references, such as the Olemi Football Stadium in Cameroon, palaces and kingdoms in most countries, the pyramids of Giza, Egypt, the Kano City Wall in Nigeria, Aksum Obelisk in Ethiopia, Eco-Atlantic in Nigeria, Waterfall City in South Africa, Wakanda City in Ghana, and many others. It's no news that poor and underdeveloped infrastructure is usually one of the key barriers to investment and growth in Africa. According to Brookings, nearly 600 million Africans lack access to the electricity grid, while the continent's infrastructure still lags behind that of other developing regions. Significant progress has been made. Africa's annual investment in infrastructure has doubled to around $80 billion a year since the beginning of this century. That represents a significant opportunity for investors and entrepreneurs with the imagination to help solve Africa's infrastructure challenges. 6. Emerging economies. Africa's emerging economies present exciting opportunities for global business expansion in retail and distribution. The leading economies in the continent are those of Egypt, Morocco, South Africa, and Tunisia. Changing demographics and improving business environments across the continent will be just two of the many factors that contribute to rising household consumption, which is predicted to reach $2.5 trillion by 2030. 7 countries, including the likes of Nigeria, Ethiopia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Tanzania, Kenya, and South Africa, will soon hold half of Africa's population, according to Brookings. By 2030, 43% of Africans are expected to belong to the middle or upper class. As the African economies emerge, consumer goods and low-cost, short-lasting products are constantly in high demand. Food, beverages, hygiene products, home care, and appliances will continue to be consumed greatly in Africa. Competition in Africa will be on an increase by 2032. This is due to the highlighted entry of multinational corporations in recent years, including the likes of Walmart. However, entrepreneurs and policymakers will likely seize the momentum of Africa's consumer markets, as well as embrace the challenges that can be overcome with the right consumer-driven solutions. That's it for the projections we envisage for Africa by 2030. We hope these projections will be a source of inspiration to Africans on the continent and beyond. Which contributions do you think you can make to the advancement of Africa? Are there other developments you think we missed out on which should have been included in our forecasts? Let us know in the comments section. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.